Welcome into Scoop City. I'm the athletic senior NFL insider, Dianna Russini. Chase will join me in just a minute. Today's episode of Scoop City will begin on a more serious note. Late this afternoon, the Baltimore Ravens released all-pro kicker Justin Tucker. The Ravens released a statement. General manager Eric DeCosta called the decision to release Tucker a football decision. He said, quote, "Sometimes football decisions are incredibly difficult. And this is one of those instances considering our current roster. We have made the tough decision to release Justin Tucker." Now, the longtime Ravens kicker has been accused of improper conduct during massage therapy sessions. The NFL investigation is still ongoing at this point. Now, this decision comes less than just 2 weeks after the Ravens drafted kicker Tyler Loop in the 6th round out of the University of Arizona. And lots of people around the league were sharing that the Baltimore Ravens used a 6th rounder, which doesn't really sound like a lot, but obviously with kickers, you're making an investment here and hoping it turns out. And the Ravens actually just wrapped up rookie minicamp, so they had a chance to see Loop in action and get to know him a little bit more. So that being said, Tucker, no longer Baltimore Raven, and he's without a doubt one that has a Hall of Fame resume, but I just think it's impossible to separate the non-football and the football, and I just think that's always how it will be. So with that, we've got an incredible show on tap for you. Coming up, Chase and I are going to examine who is under the most pressure to perform in 2025. And we reflect on the type of sports parents we are individually. Even though we've got little kids, we are learning we may not be cut out for this. But up next, how about the new faces of the NFL? Let's dive into it. Here's what I'm hearing around the league. All right, Chase, before we jump into the meat of this episode, I was hoping you could share some tales from rookie minicamp, right? Because essentially it's just all the new guys together. They show up. They don't know each other. They may know of each other at this point. Maybe a little group chatting. What's the vibe usually?
Well, the coaches that's the coolest thing in the world. You scout for so long these rookies, right? And even the undrafted guys, they are going after them. They're giving them huge signing bonuses. Whether you're first round, they get to get you out on the field. You get to put on the helmet for the first time of the team that you signed with. I mean, it's everyone's dream to make it to the NFL, right? And then you put on the jersey and you go through practice and they just overload you with information and you probably suck because you're just so nervous and you don't know what's going on. My rookie minicamp, all I remember is when I was with the Washington team, we ran so much at the end of every rookie minicamp practice that I'm like, I am so out of shape. That's just like, I don't remember anything from actual camp rather than being nervous as all get out. And I was like the third guy they had brought in. And I just remember at the end running 110s, running gassers, running 300-yard shuttles. I'm like, what are we doing? Still to this day, it was like the hardest conditioning test I ever had. But they made the rookies run it. So it's a good way to get like your hands on the rookies to be like, hey, welcome to the NFL.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got.
What was more nerve-wracking for you when you were at Mizzou, like first day of Mizzou or first day of the NFL?
When I went to Mizzou, I was highly recruited. So people were like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, this guy, we'll give him a chance. Like, he's got the stuff going. I was undrafted. There was 2 teams that wanted to sign me. One was Dallas, one was Washington. So I came in with no expectations except a chip on my shoulder. And it just sort of starts the process. It starts the grind, man. That was you were aging me. That was a long time ago.
Well, I'm sure that you could keep up with the type of cardio that you were doing back then today because you are very fit.
Not.
Oh my gosh, I know. I can only imagine.
Zero cardio.
What is the hardest running test in football? Because obviously, I played soccer in college and we had a bunch of different tests.
Well, yours was the beep test.
Right? Oh, I hate the
awful.
beep test.
We used to saw the soccer girls doing it. The hardest one for sure is 300-yard shuttles, but it's not 50 and back. It's 25 and back. So that's what the Washington team did. You had to go 25 back, 20. And so it was like a bunch of different, right? It was 6 down backs, down backs, down backs. Whereas you're constantly turning. So you have to slow down. You have to start, you slow down.
Yes.
The 50 yards and back is easier, right? It's 3 times. But that one was still, to me, like I can do gassers all day, like down backs. That was the worst, though.
We used to do 10 120s, right? So 10 120-yard sprints, and you had 1 minute to get there and back, which in your mind, you're thinking, how hard could that be? You're basically going the length of a field and to get back in a minute. for me, the sprint down was easy, right? I'd get down there 17. It's the jog back. It killed you.
Jog back.
You jog back. So your heart is just beating through your chest, and you had to go 10 in a row. Oh,
we did 17 of those for our conditioning test my senior year at Mizzou, and it was very difficult.
If we do a camp this year, well, we are doing camps this summer, but let's find a day where we're not flying out, or if we don't have interviews set up, we should just go down there and let's just see what kind of condition we're in at this
Absolutely
point.
not. That is way past my time. You can do it. Have fun.
But you can watch. You know me. I'll be like, I can do this. Watch. After like 3, I'll be on the ground throwing
Soccer
up.
girl.
So obviously it's just exciting to think about these rookies. So really just keeping this real open ended here. Is there one rookie right now that you're just looking forward to see week 1 out of the gate? This is the guy.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can say the easy names, right? The star names. I'm going Tyler Shough. Sounds crazy a little bit, but he's going to have to probably play right away. And in Kellen Moore's depending on Derek Carr's injury or not, Tyler Shough for me, he's an interesting one because he was talked about a lot at the very end of the draft. Not a lot of people were on him. We were early, right? But when you watch this film, you see it. You could best footwork in the draft. It's just hard to play early in this league, right? You can say Cam Ward, yeah, of course Cam, but the Saints, you go 500 in that division, you can win the division, right? The Bucs are there, and they're probably the odds-on favorite. The Saints have a good team. They have a good roster. New head coach with a rookie quarterback. To me, not necessarily he's going to just tear it up right away, but they have some offensive weapons. And Kellen Moore likes to run the ball more than you think. So how early is Tyler Shough pressed into action? Are they going to go start him right away? Are they going to go with Rattler? Is Carr held? It's just an interesting entire situation for me.
Yeah, I think by the time we get to training camp, we'll have a clearer picture of what is actually happening. But I'm with you. I really like that's a good answer. For me, it's Travis Hunter, and I know you mocked the big obvious names, and the reason why I'm excited is because if they're going to do what they say they're going to do, which is allow him to play both sides of the ball, I want to see what that's going to look like. Can it be maintained? How are they going to coach that? You and I have had this conversation on Scoop City before, where I think we were chatting about Taysom Hill once, about all the different meetings he was going to when he was with the
Special
Saints,
teams
playing
also.
all these different positions, and sort of how the mental side of playing both sides of the ball at the NFL level, how that is going to fare. So I'm looking forward to that. The rookie that will carry the load the most for their unit, right? So kind of like the 2025 version of Malik Neighbors or Brock Bowers. Think of it that way. Brock
Bowers was an all-pro. That's why I'm going with superstar Travis Hunter. Like you said it, and I'm glad because
that's perfect.
He literally has to. He's not have to, but he really wants to play both ways. Obviously, it's an offensive head coach, Liam Cohen, right? And we know that Liam Cohen's going to put his receivers and his position players and his playmakers in positions to make plays. Travis Hunter is a playmaker offensively. I think you have to start him out offensively because he can make a bigger impact in the game. But then that's the thing. Where does he go from there? Is there a package in nickel? Is there a package where you have 6 DBs on the field and he's the rover? Does he play like one corner? He's probably not starting there. He probably has a package of plays on defense. I would be surprised if he's just like the day one corner starter, the day one receiver starter. I think you sort of have to work it in. I just don't see a world, and maybe not, where he's playing 130 snaps a game in the NFL. Because it doesn't really, the conditioning, yeah, that's great. It's the meetings, like you mentioned. How do you practice both positions? Not only you actually have to practice in the NFL. Practices are very difficult. You exert a lot of energy. All this stuff goes into it. So just how does he fit in with that? To me, I think he could carry most of the load.
Yeah. And you got to look at too where the Jacksonville Jaguars are offensively and how really in need they are of a weapon as
playmaker.
They are all in on Trevor Lawrence. They made that very clear with the hiring of their head coach and what they did in the draft. Like, they're not moving on for Trevor Lawrence. So they're just doing what good teams do, which is build around. And this seems to be how they're going about it. For me, I'm going to go the running back in Vegas, Ashton Jeanty.
Ooh, I like that one.
Well, when we had Dane and Bruce Feldman on the show just a few weeks ago talking to us about Jeanty, I liked the stories about who he was as a person and a player and what the teams were saying. But what I enjoyed most about his value are the conversations that were happening the night before the draft and the night of the draft, and how many teams had their eye on him. How many teams knew that he could immediately step on the field and make a difference, which is why I'm sure you remember following that night, there were a lot of teams calling up, and that was the guy they were calling after. And then it was Vegas, who, by the way, did you see some of Vegas's public statements about their approach to not letting the world know that Jeanty was their guy, that this was all a mind game. Remember, Spytek's son said that, he would resent his dad forever and hate his dad for life if he didn't draft him. Apparently, this is according to the way the Raiders were portraying it. That was all fake. That they just did that to allow the rest of the league thinking that they were going for the back.
Don't put anything past them.
And then, but then they still went for him. So it all worked out. I saw Max Crosby's podcast recently. He was talking all about him, just already making a difference in Las Vegas. So I can't wait to see what he's going to do on the field. All right. So optimism is all there, but with a lot of this comes the pressure, the pressure to perform, especially when you're a top pick. So which rookie do you think is under the most pressure? I can take it first if you want.
No, I got it. For me, this is a little bit outside the box thinking, but he went a lot sooner than probably a lot of people thought. T-Mac from Arizona, the receiver. I say it because we saw the growth that Bryce Young had last year in Carolina. After the benching, he comes in and is probably receiver number one, right? I know Adam Thielen's there, Xavier Leggette's there, all those things. But when you draft a guy at 8, he's starting. He is like right away. That was one thing I think that the Carolina Panthers, after last year, they bolstered the offensive line. They played a lot better than the prior year, which was Bryce Young's rookie year. They just playmakers. They lack some playmakers, and I think that's probably why Dan Morgan, the GM over there, decided to, hey, we're going to go out. We're going to get a guy. We don't care if it's more expensive than what people think, right? I was hoping he would end up in Dallas. Big, tall, stud receiver type guy. 50-50 ball route winner, but he's going to help Bryce Young take the next step. I think the Panthers, I don't want to say surprise some people, but with the way that Bryce Young played down the stretch and the belief that, the head coach instilled in that entire team, to me, it makes a lot of sense for T-Mac. I wouldn't be surprised if he has 1,000 yards. They're throwing the football there. That's what they want to do, right? And they got to be able to run it too, but you go out, you have a decent number 1, 2, and 3 receiver, right? It's a lot better room this year than he had last year. So I'm looking forward to Bryce Young's growth, and he's going to be a big part of it.
All right. The one for me is because it has to work, I think. Because when you go number 1 and you're a franchise like the Tennessee Titans who haven't nailed the quarterback position in a while, because remember, the Marcus Mariota experience, it was fine until it wasn't. And then Ryan Tannehill came in, saved the day for a bit, and then that ran out of steam. And then Will Levis was expected to be decent. That was just okay, if not great in some instances. And so now here are the Tennessee Titans once again looking for the answer at quarterback and hoping that it's Cam Ward. And you look at Brian Callahan's job security, and you have to figure if you're ownership and you're looking at this upcoming season, you've got the best quarterback in the draft per many talent evaluators, outside of that one head coach who told me Tyler Shough was number 1, which I think he was just saying that to just cause all the flurry. I just think the pressure's on him, not just for himself and for the organization, but for some jobs. So, but also very.
Yeah, that's a good. That is and your number 1 pick.
It comes with a lot. It doesn't always mean it works out, as we know. Point. All right, so we don't do a lot of fantasy stuff on the show, but
zero fantasy stuff.
We just hope that you take some of our info during the season and apply it. It's actually my favorite thing to do. If it's just like reporting on a running back having some type of practice or an injury, and it helps you in your fantasy. But I thought we'd do like a quick drive-by on this one. Do you have a rookie who could potentially be a fantasy darling, right? You had Bucky Irving in 24. The year before that, Puka in 23, right? He
Puka
just was such a stud.
Yeah, I do. My rookie fantasy darling, Omarion Hampton, running back, UNC, Los Angeles Chargers. Couldn't go to a better team. He's going to get carries. He's going to get 200 carries this year if he stays healthy, and maybe more. You have that amazing offensive line for the Chargers, and then they go out, they bolster their receiving corps too. They sign back Mac Williams. They draft Trey Harris out of Ole Miss, who's going to be a starter. You have Ladd McConkey in the slot, and then you just add that sort of shifty weapon out of the backfield, right? This is such a hardball draft. And I know we say it a lot, but it's like, man, you know exactly who you are. And you're like, you know what? Let me take a running back that can not only catch the ball out of the backfield, but can run the ball between the tackles, can be a scat back, is decent enough in protection to be a 3-down back if needed, right? They have a 1-2 punch. I get that. But I think Omarion Hampton makes a lot of sense here. Good in the red zone, touchdowns, yards, fantasy darling for sure.
You have that, but then, of course, you have Greg Roman, who running the ball is his game. Now he's got a really good weapon. Just like for me, look, I do think the New England Patriots are going to go through a little bit of growing pains coming out of the gate here with all the new there. But I like what they got at running back out of Ohio State with Trevion Henderson.
He's a baller.
Right? He's a good pass protector. He's good in space. He's explosive. Yeah. Look, when you go in the second round and you're that much of a playmaker, that tells me that you're probably going to get on the field a lot in September, even though you're a young rookie, So
they need a run game too, man.
They do.
They had such a good draft. They crushed it.
Yeah. All right. How about the pressure to perform in terms of teams that have some positions settled, but it could probably be competitive if things don't go the way they are hoping for them to, like in Seattle. Okay. Sam Darnold is there, but they got Jalen Milroe. So do you think Milroe will overtake Darnold as the starting quarterback at any point this season?
Any point this season?
It's such a, like, let's just go for it and try to predict this. And it's like, are you going to get the Sam Darnold pre-Minnesota, or are you getting Sam Darnold with Kevin O'Connell? And we don't know yet. And I think, obviously, Seattle's hoping it's the Sam Darnold we just saw in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah, that's why they paid him $100 million.
It better be.
Yeah.
So it's like,
question.
Do you think they'll use Milroe like they did with Justin Fields? Well, at least they didn't do it a lot, as much as I expected them to do in Pittsburgh. Kind of like those Fields-like packages once Russ came back.
This sounds like, we're hot take and this. It's actually a very deep conversation. I know we don't have time to go super deep. However, I can't say. I don't have a crystal ball, right? I don't know what the future is going to hold. It wouldn't surprise me if Sam Darnold struggles and they need a jolt of energy, and you have one of the best runners at quarterback coming out of the draft. He's explosive. I heard Nick Saban talking about him on the College Game Day draft special they did when he got drafted. Nick Saban was so happy. He's like, and he said this, he's like, the NFL has never seen a talent like this at quarterback. And I was like, okay, a little, and then you start thinking about like running the ball, sure, like Lamar Jackson, Mike Vick, sure, like, but this dude is so fast and so big, got to work on the throwing, right? But it reminds me a lot of the situation that Russell Wilson was in. Russell Wilson was a third-round pick when Matt Flynn was considered the starter.
That version,
now,
yeah.
Sam Darnold is a better player than Matt Flynn was, but Matt Flynn was paid a lot of money. Sam Darnold really has signed a 1-year, $37.5 million deal. That's all he has guaranteed. So another aspect of it is, I say that's all he has guaranteed. It's a ton of money. He's going to start as a starter. If he plays well, he'll be the starter all year. But if they're out of the playoff race, Dianna, and for some reason, okay, there's a defensive head coach, Mike McDonald. He's not an offensive head coach. He's not tied to him. Yes, Clint Kubiak liked Sam Darnold in 2023 when they had him in San Francisco. But I've seen defensive coaches do crazy stuff. Let's run the football 50 times with a run game with Jalen Milroe and play good defense, which they did down the stretch. I wouldn't put it past them. Like I said, there's layers to this. I think he's the starter, Sam Darnold is, for the year if he plays well enough. But we'll see. It's an interesting conversation, though.
We saw Sam struggle a bit in Minnesota against the blitz, right?
Yeah,
and
pressure.
Now, look, some of that was on that offensive line, which we saw Minnesota improve too in this offseason. But I just wonder if Seattle has done enough around him themselves to make sure that he's not dealing with all of that pressure. And also the fact that they don't have DK Metcalf there, right? They don't have that top dog weapon available to them.
Well, Tyler Lockett either. And honestly, the offensive line play for Seattle was not great. They were hurt. They were banged up. Geno Smith was the best quarterback in the NFL under pressure last year because that offensive line was not playing well. Now Sam Darnold goes to an offensive line that's not playing that well, that gives up a lot of pressures, maybe not sacks. I just don't know how it's going to work out. And it's the Pacific Northwest. The ball's wet. All this stuff plays into it.
Then we have Jordan Love and the Packers, who added a first-round wide receiver, something we haven't seen since 2002.
That's wild.
It was shocking. And you've got Jordan Love, who, as composed and locked in and as confident as he was in his skilled players around him last year, I don't think anyone performed at the level that they were hoping and expecting to. So the question is, really, how much pressure is there on Jordan Love with a first-round wide receiver in Matthew Golden to really make this work now?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question because it is talked about because Jordan Love showed us what he can do in his first year starting. 4,300 passing yards, 35 touchdowns. The upset win against Dallas took San Francisco on the road in the divisional round down to 3 points, almost made the NFC Championship game as a starter. Then last year, right, not as good of a year. He got hurt in the first game of the year and threw a lot of interceptions. He was hurt the whole year. They needed speed at receiver. They have probably one of the fastest and deepest receiver rooms. You look at Dontavian Wicks, Jayden Reed, Christian Watson, I know is coming off the ACL, some other guys. Like, all these players are there. And then you go out, you add a 4.29 speed guy in Matthew Golden, who I think is going to do well there. Obviously, they're going to throw the football. They have a really great running game. LaFleur does an excellent job calling plays. Well, people say, they made the playoffs the last few years. What's the next step Jordan Love can take? Look, he's a franchise quarterback. That's not what we're talking about. He didn't play well, and I attribute a lot to injury. It's not excuses, but this is a team with a roster, Dianna, that can win multiple playoff games. Like, if Jordan can cut down on the interceptions, they got a lot better defensively than the year before when they changed defensive coordinators. All this stuff is setting up for a really, really good season for the Packers, but they play in the NFC North, right? It's going to be a tough division. It's a bloodbath. 3 teams are probably going to make the playoffs out of that division, and the Chicago Bears are still good. They're still good. They're still going to be better. So I think just making it out of the division alive, staying healthy is important. But I think Jordan Love can take the next step.
Yeah, you've always been really high on him, even going back to before this past season, like going into the 24 season. I felt like you always believed that he could take this next big step. Do you feel that he did that though last year, or do you think this has got to be where he's got to make the significant jump?
Look, I think he proved it proved that he could play his first year. Got the big contract extension. We talked to him on Scoop City. He was super excited about it right before all this stuff. I think he was hurt last year, Diana. I think that when you play hurt as a quarterback, it sounds crazy. You're a quarter. No, everything changes. You're not watching as much film because you're in a training. You can't practice every day. You're not getting the reps, all this stuff. Your left knee could make your throw a little high. All the stuff in a quarterback and the entire system of the body, it changes. People don't understand that. Yes, he threw too many interceptions. Yes, he threw too many just balls up for grabs. He's got to be better, but they got their franchise guy. Yeah.
And wedding planning can be very exhausting and distracting. So they spent the whole year wedding planning. So now they're not going to have to worry about that when the season starts. They'll be happily married by then. Of course, we're just kidding. How about the Commanders, right? So Adam Peters had said from the start, when he took over as the general manager, that he really wanted to build this Washington team just through the draft. That's the foundation for the future. But then they get these premier players at premium positions, and it makes you go, wait, are they shifting? And it's like, no, those just became available. Those guys just, they appear, you don't pass on that. So, right, we know Deebo Samuel Jr. and Laramie Tunsil all are now part of this Washington teams. And, Peters even went on to explain, too, after the draft when he spoke to the media that, they're not shifting how they view this stuff. That this is just, they looked at this as a situation where you have to adapt because we think that they can make an immediate impact right now with Jayden. So, we talk about the sophomore slump all the time because we've seen it. And I know we've mentioned Houston a lot. And unfortunately, CJ Stroud has been the most recent poster child for that. How can Jayden avoid this, especially when he's got these new weapons? Because it appears that they can avoid it because they gave him the right pieces.
Yeah, look, I don't like the word sophomore slump because like we talk about like CJ Stroud and they still won 10 games. Yes, he threw more interceptions. Yes, he still won 10 games. And they were still not in a good division. I get that. The thing with Jayden Daniels that makes me think he won't do that is a couple reasons. One, they're building around him still. This is their Super Bowl window. And I think the way Cliff Kingsbury operates, he's always going to study his own offense and continue to evolve and develop. Now, it comes down to Jayden needing to understand, like, hey, I can't just rest on what I did last year. But if we're being honest, Dianna, he had such an insane, historical season last year. Anything that he does is going to be a sophomore slump. Like, do you think that we're picking the Commanders to get to the NFC Championship again? Probably most people would say, well, probably not, right? So anything that he does, right, wrong, and different, is probably going to be considered a sophomore slump, right? So for me, it's more of those you have to continue to develop from year to year. A lot of times people say, and I would tend to agree, your biggest jump as an NFL player is after your rookie year going into your second year. How is he going to play? And also, teams have 21 games on him of film. They know what he's good at. They know what he's bad at. They've studied him. They know exactly how to stop him. Now, you just have to do it. And the crazy thing about him is he's a pocket passer who is an extremely talented runner. You don't get that very often. That's why I don't think he's CJ Stroud's a pocket passer, can move a little bit. With Jayden, if stuff ain't there, he's taking off. He's getting 8 yards. Okay, 2nd and 2. What opens up the playbook? I think that's what makes him a little different in this aspect.
Yeah, I think he's going to be even more dangerous. Just the comfort with being with Cliff and having Laramie Tunsil on his offensive line, having Demo as a weapon. I think this is going to be the story of Jayden Daniels' year where he takes another step forward, which last season
Super
we were
Bowl?
calling him the closest thing to Lamar, right?
Yeah.
And congrats to Washington for getting the draft in 2027. That's exciting. Everything.
Big time.
Stock is up in Washington, baby.
No doubt.
All right, Chase, let's wrap up the show here. We haven't talked specifically about what's going on in your life with youth sports. I know you're coaching. It's that time of year where you have more time. Yeah. And I'm so interested in what you're like as a former professional athlete, coaching your children who are competitive, but also young and learning. So I want to dive into that when we get back, because I have a feeling there's going to be people listening who are going to have thoughts about your style of parenting. We'll be right back. All right, back here on Scoop City, where Chase, I got 3 words for you: youth sports parents. And when I think of that, I think of you now, because you're coaching 1 or 2 teams.
2
flag football teams.
1 flag football, 1 baseball. Yeah, I coached a basketball team, which I knew nothing about, but I retired after that. So coaching basketball. I know your vibe was a little off earlier today because of what happened on Sunday. What is making you so frustrated with youth sports right now, and maybe specific to what's up with the kids? Yeah, I don't think frustrated is the right word. I think just and I told you on the phone, I was like, my nervous system's out of whack, because it's I really love to coach, and I really love to coach my son and my daughter who plays softball. So I am both. If you think about it, I'm a youth sports coach. I'm actually 3 things. I'm a youth sports coach because I love, and I've been coaching these kids since they were in pre-K. We're almost in 2nd grade. I've been coaching this team for a while, right? And then I am a youth sports coach who's a dad who has a son on the team, which is a whole nother dynamic. And then I am a youth sports parent, because I don't coach my kid's softball team, my daughter's softball team, where I'm in the stands and I'm like, let's go. So there's three completely different dynamics, right? The one dynamic that is interesting for me is like, and obviously like this is who I am, is I'm coaching sports, but I also have to be a dad to my son who's on the team. And I take that really seriously because one, I don't want to show favoritism. Like that is like in the back of my head at all times. So in fact, my dad did this with me because he coached me growing up. I almost like have to like be harder on my son to show the parents that I'm not playing favoritism. And in turn, my son probably gets shafted from maybe playing some more than he should, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm almost more loyal to the other. It sounds weird, but I definitely don't want to show that and
Correct.
seem unfair.
You're approaching it almost a little subconscious about it, right? So so your son is paying for it, but at the same time, I'm sure it's good that you have him there from trying to get done what you need to get done. I feel like my dad always used me as the example.
Leader knows exactly
like,
what to do.
Watch, here's how she's doing. Watch how she's standing. Look how she's playing defense at third base. Whatever it is that I was doing. But that's how my dad was hard on me when it was almost worse to have your dad be the coach.
I agree. My dad was really hard on me too. And when I looked back on it, maybe at the time I was like, oh, like, but now it sort of molded me into who I am as an athlete and made me like, let's go. Like probably if you ask my wife, probably over the top of that little thing, but and I'm sort of like that way with my kid because I wanted to have that drive. I want him to have the effort. For me, it's like when I'm coaching, like we want to win. That is at the end of the day, like sports is a win or loss. Like that's the beautiful thing. There's lessons in winning. There's lessons in losing. Some people out here in the West Coast, not just California, in the West Coast, they view it as let's show up to just have fun. It's a social thing.
I think this is just the West Coast. I think this is
right. Okay.
The world.
I'm just saying all I can speak for. I can't speak for everyone else, like what I've done. And I agree. There's lessons. And I tell my kids every time, the only thing I care about today, attitude and effort. If you have attitude and effort, it will be good. Like I'm going to teach you the stuff. These kids are physically talented, all that stuff. But I tell them, we want to win. Like, make no mistake about it. We don't have to be mean. We're good sports, whether we win or we lose. And I think it's hard on some of these kids. Like, when they lose, they're so used to winning because we win a lot. When they lose, I feel like that's the lessons I teach and try to bring them back. But I think that's sort of the issue a little bit, right? Is like, at least when you're starting out, like, yes, you could say like pre-K and kindergarten. The goal for me is to have the kids want to play sports next year. We're getting into a much more competitive aspect of it. Now I get it. These kids are 7 and 8 years old. And I am never a parent. I've never put my kid in a private lesson. I don't mind if you do. But I don't want to burn my kid out. That's a real thing too, right? Like burnout. So there's all sorts of dynamics. And I think at the crux of the issue a little bit, at least from my perspective, and some people are not going to like this, I feel like some parents live vicariously through their kids and push their kids too much when that happens. Like I think eventually the kid will, if he wants to play, he's going to try harder. And I'm all for parents getting their kids the right lessons if they want to, but just back off. Like your kid's not going to make an all-stars team in the NFL at age 9.
Yeah, but
like he's not. And I try to coach it like that.
I think the frustrating part for some parents is different development stages or the speed of it, right? Like Mikey's 3. We started soccer.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
His friend Sonny, our friend Dianna and Joe's son, is Pele out there. I mean, he's out there running around. He's scoring goals. Mikey runs over to me. He's like, "I'm my doggy." I'm like, "Get out there, score a goal." And it's so frustrating.
How does that make you feel as a parent when you see other kids that are like, "Oh, like I want my kid to be like that"?
I can't. Well, here's the thing. Because those are my friend's kid. They're always out back playing. And we have not incorporated that in our house as much as I would like. Like we don't run out back to play to kick the soccer ball around. We play trains, we build Legos. And so we've been trying to get out more, which is what we talked about at the top of the show, just trying to be outside to play.
Does Pele have other siblings? Older siblings?
Yep. Pele has an older sister.
So that's exactly what it is the oldest usually, like that's with Preston. Preston isn't like some like stud athlete, all this like, oh my gosh, the next coming of Tom Brady. Right now he's 7 and he's the first kid though. But my girl, who is 5, is playing like up in softball, and she's like, okay, she's going to be an athlete. My son will eventually get it. Like he loves sports, like loves it. But I haven't pushed him to that edge. But it's the kids with older siblings, their younger ones are usually better.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was like that. Like the only reason why I was a good athlete was because my brother, I don't know if he didn't have friends or what the problem was, but I was always playing whatever sport we were playing together, right?
Yeah,
we were shooting hoops together, playing soccer, playing football. And so eventually, I'm out muscling and out understanding really the game. That as a girl playing, I was so much better because of my brother. But
now, go ahead.
My question for you on the parenting thing with sports is, like, I don't think it's gonna it doesn't bother me if you try. I think that's where it's difficult to be a parent.
Effort.
If there's just no work ethic at all or no attempt to put themselves out there, that's where I think I'm going to be challenged as a parent as they get older.
You're saying your kids?
Yeah, look, there's a good chance that one of my kids doesn't like sports. Notice I say one because I can't live in a world where both of them don't. It'll just be like, it would be devastating. Like my sister's son is 5. He's unbelievable. Like he's just naturally awesome. He picks up a baseball, he throws sliders. I'm like, what? What are you feeding this kid?
You know what's hard for people to understand is if you haven't played sports as a parent, right? And you didn't play at all, you don't really understand the feeling of, because people are probably like, well, Dianna, I'm like, I'm the same way. Like I want my kids to play sport, not because it's fun, but because of the life lessons it teaches you.
Correct.
And people might think we're crazy, but we understand what it's given us and what it's grown. The thing that I think we haven't had this situation really because we have a really great group of parents for our core parents and groups. It's like a bunch of 10 kids that go to the same school that are in multiple sports together. I've never had a parent come up to me and say, why isn't my kid playing? Oh. And because first of all, they know better than with me. Because I've been very clear about expectations. Yes, we want to play everyone, but we're getting to it. We're first graders. We're playing in a second grade division where these guys, we just got steamrolled a couple days ago by the second grade team. I'm like, we're playing everyone, but when it comes to playoffs, we're playing our best 6.
Okay, but I think where this gets dicey is your son one of the best 6.
He's like number 6. So
you're actually in a tough spot. That's hard.
No, it is, and that's why I say he probably gets the short end of the stick more often than not because I'll put him on the bench, and people understand that, so they can't say anything. You're like, okay, and so I think eventually, one, we have too many people in general, like on our team, but 2, I think that there is a developmental thing, and I think the parents for us have been great. That's not normal. I've seen parents go to the field, and I've heard parents that like. All this other stuff, our parents on our team are awesome because the coaches set the expectation that, look, this isn't your normal California team that we just want to try hard. Like, yes, we want the kids to have fun. This isn't a social aspect. If you want a social aspect, go get a margarita and a Mexican food and let the kids play on the patio. This is sports. We're trying to teach them toughness. We're trying to teach them about the game. I'm trying to teach. That's the one thing I want to educate them on what to do. There's some coaches out there that are just like, okay, go draw this. We walk through routes. We have drills. And then like a lot of people do, but at 7 and 8, I don't know how normal that is.
Yeah, that's smart. That makes sense.
There's just consistently, I try to take the political out of it, of the youth sports, right? Because we have great parents. I think that's where it starts with. And I haven't been in a situation, so I can't speak on. When you have a parent that may be acting a little crazy, then it may get a little difficult.
Let me let you in on a little secret. And I don't even know these parents, but I can bet you there is one mom or one dad going, look at this coach. Plays in the NFL, out here thinking he's Drew Brees now.
100%. You know what's funny? It's Drew Brees' flag football league, so I'm good with it.
I figured. Look, if you are a parent yourself and you have children playing sport, we would love to hear from you. Comment on the YouTube channel, tweet us, however way you would like to do it, and give us some tips on how to deal with just the competitive nature that we naturally have, and I'm sure a lot of you have. But also, maybe I would love to hear I would love a story. You don't have to write too much. A couple sentences of the worst experience you've had in youth sports, because people have so many wild experiences with their kids. Yeah. I remember one of my good girlfriends, her father, he tried to hit the coach. It was crazy. Like, it was intense. And my parents were, as I know you always think like East Coast Italian, New Jersey, they're probably in your face. My parents are not like that actually in person. Like they're like, essentially, if someone ever accused me of doing something, my parents would be like, yep, she did it. Not, no, Dianna would never do that. It's like, nope, she did it. Like they always take the side of the person in charge, right? So especially with playing time, like there was a couple of years in high school where I thought I was the best point guard, but I was the sixth man off the bench. And I would want my parents to go in and talk to the coach. And they're like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Go, play harder.
And that's so true. And to put a bow on this a little bit, like we don't, like, you pay a fee to play in this league. It's not like it's 12 and 13-year-olds where it costs the kids and costs the parents a lot of money to play sports, right? This is, now when it gets to that level, I completely understand the parents, and they're spending a lot of money and they want the right coach to develop their kid. But I have to take, I do the same thing as a parent when I'm watching my daughter. They're not going to be defined if they're the next Michael Jordan. They're not going to be defined if the pressure on them, take it off of them. Let's go have some fun. Let's win games. Give me a good attitude. Give me great effort. And don't just be looking around. Don't just be doing this. Like, if you want to play hard. If you don't play. Yeah.
Look, I feel like we could do a separate podcast series outside of this show on this.
And half the people are going to hate what I said, and half the people are going to hate what you said. That's just what it is.
I know. So what? It's hard to be a parent. It's wild in these streets. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Hope you enjoyed some of our youth sports chat, but also we still got lots more to come. We got our big mailbag episode coming up in just a few days. So send in your last minute questions if you didn't send them in yet. But otherwise, that'll do it for us today. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys. Tag me next time.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.